Hello, I'm John. Welcome to Cooking on My Time. I just got home from a long shift and I've got a bowl of Kapusta ready to go. It's one of my all-time favorites growing up and I wanted to share it with you today. Let's get into it by starting off with the ingredients. For this recipe, I'd like to use about 3 pounds of country-style pork ribs, bone-in. Salt and pepper is the only seasoning I use. You also need 2 small to medium-sized sweet onions, 1 green head of cabbage, a 15-ounce jar of sauerkraut, and 2 to 3 Idaho potatoes. The white vinegar is totally optional. I'll explain when and why you might want to use it later on in the video. Now that you know what I use, let's start putting this simple recipe together. I like to start off by cutting the pork into reasonable, bite-sized pieces. Now, cutting through the pork without a bone is pretty easy, but once you get to the bone, it can be a little more challenging. But don't worry about that. Once this cooks in the Kapusta for a while, that pork is going to be incredibly tender and will literally fall right off the bone. After cutting everything up, I place the pork into a pan and season it with salt and pepper. You don't need to go too heavy, just enough to get some flavor before it goes into the oven. I preheat my oven to broil and place the pork inside, keeping the pork away from the direct heat so it browns nicely. As you can see, it's far enough away from the element. The pork is on the second rack down from the top, giving it enough heat to develop some nice color without getting too close. I leave it in the oven for about 5 minutes, but always keeping an eye on it. You can check the progress as it starts to brown and make sure you get the right color you're looking for. The next step is to take the pork out of the oven and place it on top of the stove. With the pork browned, I transfer it into the pot using tongs. This is where all the ingredients will start coming together. Now the pork is ready, and we can move on to adding cabbage. Start by taking your cabbage and cutting it right down the middle, then into quarters. This makes it a lot easier to work with, and more importantly, it lets us get to the core. You don't want that in your dish. It's a little too firm and doesn't cook down like the rest of the cabbage. Once the core is removed, take each quarter and slice it up into strips. Don't worry about being perfect, just keep your cuts fairly even so everything cooks down the same. As you go, just move everything right into the pot. It might look like a lot at first, but cabbage really cooks down. Take your time with this part, nice steady cuts, and before you know it, you've got your base ready to go. Okay, now we finished chopping the cabbage. Let's move into cutting the onion. I'm using the dahlia onions. It's mild and a little sweet. That's just my choice. You can use any onion you want. Finish cutting the ends off. Peel off the outer layer and slice it down the middle. Once that's done, lay it flat and start slicing. You can go thin or a little thicker, totally up to you. It's all about the flavor, not so much about the size of the onion. As you finish, just add the onions right into the pot with the cabbage, and already you're starting to build a really nice base for this dish. Alright, so there's one more ingredient for this stage, and that's the sauerkraut. I'm using 1 16-ounce jar of sauerkraut. This is going to bring that familiar tangy flavor that really makes this dish shine. Go ahead and add the sauerkraut right into the pot along with everything else. At this point, we've got the cabbage, the sweet onion, and the sauerkraut all coming together. So it's time to bring the pot over to the sink and fill it full of water. Just fill it to the top with the cabbage and then bring the pot to the stove and prepare the kapusta for cooking. Give a good mix, then bring it up to a boil. As it comes to a boil, add your salt and pepper. I would go light on the seasoning, and you can always adjust it later. Bring it down to a simmer and cook for about 1.5 to 2 hours. The longer it cooks, the milder the sauerkraut gets, and the more that rich pork flavor comes through. So if you want a tart sauerkraut taste, don't cook it as long. After simmering for 1.5 to 2 hours, go ahead and get the potatoes ready. I'm using russet potatoes. Give those a quick peel. Once they're peeled, cut them into half moon-shaped pieces and try to make them about the same size so they cook evenly. Go ahead and add the potatoes right into the pot. Give everything a quick stir and continue to simmer until the potatoes are pork tender. I would say about 15 to 20 minutes.
Once the potatoes are done, give the kapusta a taste. If you feel like it needs a little more salt and pepper, you can add it here, but I usually wait and season my bowl at the table, since I do like a little more pepper than most people. At this point, you can serve it up right away, or you can let it cool down and put it in the fridge for the next day. That's when the flavors really come through. I usually do both. I have a bowl now and save the rest for later. When I'm at the table, I like my kapusta with a nice piece of crusty bread for dipping, plus a little extra salt and pepper, and just a splash of white vinegar. The vinegar adds a little bit of tartness, similar to the sauerkraut, but keep in mind the longer you cook the kapusta, the more the tartness mellows out. I like the balance of pork with just a little tang coming through. I'm sure you're going to like this dish. It's been one of my favorites for years, and I make it whenever I can. Thanks for watching, take care, and I'll see you in the next one.